think you'll enjoy today's service. We did have someone from the hotel stumble in earlier. Anybody here not know that this was a church? We celebrate religious skepticism, we like to say, instead of religious faith. So, why are we here and what are we doing? Well, most of us don't believe in God. In fact, I would say none of us believe in God, like out there. I always like to say I believe in God the same way I believe in Jean-Luc Picard or James Bond. I believe in those people. So lack of belief in gods, it's not a positive belief. Like, I know for sure there are no gods, but just, hey, I'm not persuaded. Could be doubt, could be uncertainty, could be just respect to one or more or all gods. So, even the so-called believers are atheists when it comes to some other types of gods. And maybe it's just semantics. I think most of us know if you just go up to people and say, I'm an atheist, you might as well just slap them in the face and say, I'm nothing like you. And that's not intention. That's not what you mean to express when you say you're an atheist. At least it's not what I intend to express. Martin Luther said something very interesting. He said, whatever your heart clings to and confides in, that is really your God. So here's a guy from way back when willing to define God in a very broad way. Anyways, doubt, atheism, agnosticism, rationalism, whatever you've come to, once you kind of get to that point, that's just the first step. Because what you can do after that is look at all of these kinds of religious questions, meaning of life, and right and wrong, and how to have good relationships with your loved ones and raise your kids. And in fact, next month, that's what we're going to be doing, talking about mothering and fathering. All of these interesting questions can be looked at aside, completely apart from and aside from the idea that there's some supernatural somebody who wants you to do it a certain way. Freethought is nevertheless a subordination to facts and reason. It's not just thinking whatever you want. But it gets a lot more complicated and a lot more fun after that. Here's all kinds of things and people and so forth that you can delve into. Lots more than you could find in the Bible or any other holy book. And here's just a couple of quotes from T.H. Huxley, who was known as Darwin's bulldog. He actually had the professorial position that Dawkins is now in. And these are just clips from a little letter he wrote back after a cleric. Huxley had a 4-year-old son who died of pneumonia. Today he could have been probably cured for 25 cents worth of antibiotics. Anyways, he got this letter from the cleric basically scolding him and chiding him, and, oh, don't you wish you believed in God now? And he wrote back to this cleric, very respectful, and among many other things he said in that letter, the longer I live, the more obvious it is to me that the most sacred act of a man's life is to say and to feel, I believe such and such to be true. I know what I mean when I say I believe in the law of inverse squares, and I will not rest my life in hopes upon weaker conviction. I dare not if I would. And then responding to the cleric was that Charles Kingsley, a famous cleric in the 19th century. What is this, the idea of just believing in stuff? But in grand words, asking me to believe a thing because I like it. But churches still do a very important thing. They connect people. They support social networks. They assist in child raising. We've got next door kids having fun and hopefully developing some sense that they're part of a larger community, that just because they don't believe in the supernatural doesn't make them freaks. It's also a way to expand our circle of friends and, of course, contribute to personal growth. You can find things out at these services, and I like to find things out. That's probably one of the most fun things about putting them together. And I invite you all to join me in that, too, where we can produce a lot of content, material, things that are every bit as good. Like next month, for example, we got the subject of mothering and fathering. What's the phrase we all think of about that subject when it comes to, say, the Christian faith? I think of spare the rod, spoil the child. There's got to be better little sayings and guidelines than that. So we preach Freethought. And who else is going to do that if we don't? We are freethinkers working to understand and live by the rule of reason, enjoying fellowship, sharing our rational outlook and learning from each other, serving something larger than our own egos, caring and helping others through life's passages who are hurting, and demonstrating that the rule of reason and a love for this one life we know is sufficient. So I've already mentioned the May service, and that's going to be over at the Westin Hotel, which is just catty corner the other side of 114, right across from what used to be the Wyndham and is now the DoubleTree. So that's where we'll be next month, May 1st, so don't forget. There's other things that occur during the month. Pretty much every Sunday, many of us get together at the Hilton Vineyard Restaurant, the Hilton Lakes, just a couple of miles from here at 10:30, and hang out and have breakfast. They just recently reduced their prices, so $14 for a hot buffet and $10 for the more continental. We always need volunteers, so come talk to me about what you might want to do and how you can help. Just things like bringing all the stuff in and getting set up. Wild Bill, where are you, Wild Bill? There he is. Took that on from John Hendricks, but there's all kinds of little tasks like that that the more helping hands we have, the more we can get done. Many hands make short work. All right, we've had this little feature now for a while, a moment of science, and I just called this childish things, and I think you'll understand why in a moment. We've all heard about how lizards will lose their tails and then grow back, but salamanders and some other creatures can even outgrow their whole arm. You think going to lures would allow people to do that, but no such thing. But there's some other regenerative type things too. There have been cases where people have lost a fingertip and it's grown back. The liver is kind of a regenerative organ. Unfortunately, the heart is not. If you lose any part of your heart, if you have a heart attack, some part of the heart is killed, it just scars up, and that's why cardiovascular disease kills most of us. But researchers now have found, in fact, right over here at the University of Texas Southwestern, it was published in February in Science magazine, that if you cut away a bit of the heart of a newborn mouse, that it will grow back. If you wait a little while, even just a week, it heals by scarring. I don't know if you can see down there, this blue, that's the fibrotic tissue from scarring. So that's really pretty amazing, that the heart tissue will just grow right back after you cut a piece out of a newborn mouse. Nobody's going to try this in people, obviously, but if we can figure out how that happens and how to replicate it in people, that would be a great thing. Just think of what might be possible. Here's another example that, at least for the last 2 or 3 decades, we've known that sickle cell, of course, which is a terrible thing. About 200,000 kids are born every year in Africa, and about 50,000 in the United States with sickle cell disease, where the hemoglobin is abnormal and it bends in the blood vessels when there's low oxygen. It causes pain and destruction of the kidneys and other organs, just an awful disease. However, that disease doesn't show up in newborns because the newborns are making something called fetal hemoglobin. The normal hemoglobin has 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains, but in a newborn, I just delivered one early this morning, they have 2 gamma chains. It's a little bit different molecule, and it's not subject to it. I mean, it's different than sickle hemoglobin. So if you could somehow turn on the sickle hemoglobin in, say, an adolescent or an adult with sickle cell disease, you could basically cure or reduce their symptoms from sickle cell anemia. So the lesson here is sometimes the solution to things is recovering or remembering what we once had or what we used to know or forgot, rather than always coming up with something new. So we're thinking about it, problem solving, maybe being able to go back to what you once did. And now we're going to have are we ready to go ahead? Go ahead and okay, one things up. David Burgess' favorite YouTube clips. David has made various clips that he's put up on YouTube too. You can find him at
Chucky Jesus. Well, my YouTube name is Chucky Jesus 666.
Oh, Chucky Jesus 666.
I had to put the numbers on because some Chucky Jesus was already taken. And so I thought, well, why not use 666? That won't really take off any fundamentals, Sure enough, that's what I got. Oh, here it is, 666. You're obviously a Satanist.
I'll tell you something interesting about 666 too, and that is, of course, we're all carbon-based life forms, right? Carbon is the only atom that is distinguished by the fact of having 6 protons. That's the atomic number. It happens to have 6 neutrons and 6 electrons. So carbon is the 666 atom, and we're carbon-based life forms. You could freak out some of these, really literalistic believers with that. We already have the 666 marked in our bodies. It's not a barcode.
And while we're trying to get this worked out, it dawned on me, you're talking about how, we study mice and so on. To me, this, I don't know why.
Give us a couple minutes here.
Does anyone know how to get it to go onto the other screen? Do you have a geek in here?
I might.
Okay.
Got any AV people, the kind that used to jump up an ice cream?
Very sure. Is this the one we're trying to do?
Yes.
Okay. First, minimize that. Minimize that. There's not just gonna work there. I'll let you do that. Sure. No. It's not you. It's first off. Oh, okay.
Well, Jesus was going around heaven one day and found this guy who was like sitting in a corner, all sad and disheveled, not looking very good at all. Jesus says, "Why are you so unhappy? This is heaven, you got everything you need. Great music, you can play a harp if you want to, but if you don't know how to play a harp, you got harp lessons." Okay. And the old guy says, "Well, I'm a carpenter, and I had this little boy, and he grew up, and I lost track of him." Jesus gets all, "Oh my God, Dad!" And the old guy says, "Pinocchio!"
I've got another quick one before we do this. The atheist walks into a bar with Zeus, Jehovah, and Odin. Sits down at the bar. Barkeep turns around to him and says, "I see you're drinking alone again." Okay. All right. I think we'll start with ever current. Ever since YouTube burst on the scene in 2005, I've found numerous really amusing things. Edward Curran, it took me a couple of his videos to get it, but he's a Poe. He's he's an atheist who pretends to be a Christian. And the funny thing is, looking at all the comments from Christians, like, "Yes, brothers, say it,
You might want to define Poe.
Okay, well, Poe's law is when you have a situation that's, is you can't really tell if it's fundamentalist or if it's satire. Yeah, that's what they call Poe's law.
Lately, it's been tough for us Christians. From Elton John to best-selling books, one of which calls God a delusion, faith is under attack. Well, I have news for atheists. They're the ones who are deluded, because God exists. He made the universe. I'm 100% sure of it. How do I know? From the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. It says so right there on page 1 of the book God himself says he wrote. Checkmate! Sorry, atheists. Scientists believe that the earth is billions of years old because of something called radioactive decay. Well, the truth is, the earth is only about 6,000 years old. God says so in the Bible. Now, who should we believe? The creator of the universe, or scientist freaks that don't even believe in God? Astronomers claim they can see galaxies that are so far away, their light must be even older than the Earth for them to be visible. But the Bible proves that's impossible. When God created everything, he must have set the light from those galaxies already beaming toward the Earth, so that when he'd later give us telescopes, we'd have more stuff to look at. Is God unbelievable or what? Now, if you think that isn't the work of a conscious, omnipotent being whose son on earth was Jesus Christ, you must be deluded or something. According to atheists, fossils in the ground show that evolution, not intelligent design, produced all life on earth. That's ridiculous. The Bible clearly says God created man in his own image. Those dumb deluded scientists also say you can see evolution happening in the mutations of drug-resistant bacteria. Give me a break. God updates a gene so more good Christians can go to heaven, and that means we came from monkeys? It's amazing how science can cure diseases, smash the atom, and create nuclear explosions, yet be so wrong about everything that's mentioned in the Holy Bible. I'm sure we'll find fossils of giants and unicorns one of these days. Look, I'm a Christian, and us Christians, we understand that things like miracles that defy the laws of physics are the truth. We will never question that because we're 100% certain God meant what he wrote. Scientists aren't certain about anything. All they have is a bunch of theories. Clearly, stuff like science and reason have no place in our lives. It's the 21st century. We must live by the words of a very, very old religious book, so that when the earth is consumed in fire at Armageddon, we will physically ascend to paradise. And when I pray, the Creator himself and his Son, born of a blessed virgin, come and they speak to me, and they tell me I'm correct. So, atheists, who exactly is the deluded one here?
There you go.
Back.
Okay. We've done a whole series. I think my favorite one was the one that he did after the miracle on the Hudson. And I won't give it away, just go watch that. It's really just there. Okay. That one.
You can get rid of that hat at the bottom by clicking the little X where it says healer hats. And it'll make it go away after the video starts.
Oh, okay. All right, now, Mr. Deity is one of my favorites. And explain, it's done by this one guy, Brian Keith Dalton, who, together with some other people. And he sort of had, Mr. Deity is sort of like he's sort of like a CEO of a company. And he's got these assistants like Larry, who, it's not quite clear, he might be the Holy Ghost. And he's got the son, his name is Jesse, and this woman is Lucifer, call her Lucy. And anyway, this is not the first of, it's just like, he's into the fourth year, I think it is. But this is like a prequel, and it goes back to, you always ask yourself, well, if God existed, if there is a God, and he existed before creation, what was he doing? In the null and the void. This answers that.
Beginning. In the beginning was the Void, and the Void's longtime companion, Null. And Null and Void brought forth a child who, despite being ageless, also appeared to be very, very old. And they named the child El, after Null's favorite uncle, which caused nothing but trouble, as alphabets were not allowed by Void. So when either asked of the other where's El, the other would first reply, who? And then El-O-Him. And thus El came to be known as Elohim. Now, despite their best intentions, Null and Void could not properly provide for El. They had always been supportive, reinforcing the idea that he was special, unique, and above all. But fearing any outside influence, they would not allow Elle to have anything, and neither Null nor Void had time to spend with him. So as time or lack thereof went on, Elle began to doubt his specialness.
What kind of life is this for a supreme being?
He thought to himself.
I don't even have a sofa.
The boredom, too, was getting to Elle. One night, Elle caught himself cheating at chess, an entirely humiliating experience for him, which was only made worse by what clearly seemed to be an insincere and wholly self-serving apology. His doubts nagged at his once unassailable sense of worth.
Null and Void tell me I'm good, but in what sense am I good? I don't do anything. I'm a lone being in a timeless void. Okay, I'm impeccably groomed, and I always make sure I have a stick of gum handy so my breath smells pleasant, but in what way am I good, or bad for that matter? If I simply am that I am, and I don't really do anything, then what meaning can words like good or bad possibly have? Sure, existence is good, especially when you consider the alternative, but what good is existing if that's your only quality, or when there's nothing good on TV?
Elle also began to struggle with the sense of all-knowingness Null and Void had instilled in him.
What good is being all-knowing when you live in a timeless void?
He thought.
What's to know? And how do I know I'm all-knowing anyway? How does anyone know one is all-knowing? If there is something I don't know, how would I know? One doesn't know what one doesn't know, right? Or does one, if one knows all? I would know what I don't know, being all-knowing and all, no? And if I can't think of anything I don't know, does that by definition make me all-knowing? Or does that simply prove that I'm not all-knowing because I don't know what I don't know, you know? If I really were all-knowing, would I be having these doubts in the first place? Wouldn't I know one way or the other? Or perhaps this is merely an epistemological question with which all all-knowing beings must at some point wrestle. Who knows?
One night, as Elle sat imagining the series finale of what would one day become the television show MASH, he thought to himself,
I am alone in the voidiverse.
Suddenly, he wished he had someone to share the experience. And he thought,
You know, a little praise and adulation wouldn't hurt either.
while Elle loved Null and Void, he couldn't help but wonder if there wasn't something more. He felt a lack of meaning, purpose, and eyewear. Sure, his existence was safe and secure. In the void, he could always bat 1,000. But what good was it, he thought, if no one else was there keeping score? Like all unchangeable beings, Elle began to feel the appeal of the non-incumbent political sloganeering which would one day become so entirely ubiquitous. It was time for a change, he thought. And with that, the decision was made. Elle would venture out to where Null and Void were prohibited, to the land of things and stuff. But first, there was one very important thing to do. Elle would put himself on a need-to-know basis. In his all-knowingness, he knew that knowing would be no fun. It would ruin the end of M. Night Shyamalan movies, even the good one, and bum everyone out at the surprise party he could foresee being thrown for him. Elle would have to say no to all-knowingness. But in the midst of his resolve, Elle became very sad. He realized he would not have a chance to say goodbye. Null and Void abhorred the land of things and stuff. They had forbidden him to go there and refused him even to visit during spring break. They would surely never allow him to leave their all-encompassing embrace forever. But Elle wanted out.
There must be some way out of here.
He thought.
I've got to escape without Null and Void knowing.
For an indeterminable amount of time, Elle pondered the problem at hand. Then, finally, it hit him.
from Eric Idle, Monty Python. And I won't even bother enlarging the screen on this because all they have in the way of visual is the foot. So, but you know, there's the hymn that's mostly done in England called "All Things Bright and Beautiful." Well, here we go.
Be sung by the girls.
There's a foot.
Okay, here's a short one. I don't, how many people saw on the internet somewhere the deal with the president of American Atheists, David Silverman, his interview with Bill O'Reilly. And Bill O'Reilly saying that he knew that God exists because the tides go in, the tides go out.
Oh.
And you know, you can't explain that and all this. And here's a really great parody. This is Bill O'Reilly teaching kids science.
I love you.
Why does it?
Because there's evil in your
I love you. You're my brother.
Can't explain it.
The teaching kids about science.
David, Beverly Hills, Florida. What do you mean when you refer to the tides? When you ask about the existence of God, science explains the tides, the moon's gravity pulls up the ocean. Okay, how did the moon get there?
Okay, well,
How did the moon get there?
most likely.
Look, you pinheads who attack me for this, you guys are just desperate. How'd the moon get there? How'd the sun get there? How'd it get there? Can you explain that to me?
Yes.
How come we have that and Mars doesn't have it? Venus doesn't have it? How come? Why not? How'd it get here? How did that little amoeba get here? All out there. How'd it do it? Come on.
But I think I know.
You have order in this universe. You have an order in the universe. Tide goes in, tide goes out. Okay, yeah, the moon does it. Fine. And the moon get there? Who put it there? Did it just happen?
Nope.
Okay, if we have existence, if we have life on Earth, how come they don't have it on the other planets? Were we just lucky? Some meteor do this?
Yes.
Well, you know, I see this stuff as desperate. As they've said many times, how did the moon get there? How did the moon get there? How'd it get there? How'd it get there? How'd the moon get there? Who put it there?
Okay. I've got, oh, Betty Bowers. Betty Bowers is America's best Christian. And she will inform us on what makes a traditional biblical marriage.
All you unsaved trash out there have no idea what constitutes a Bible-based marriage. You're surrounded Christians, and that's why the Lord has called upon. Lord has called upon me, America's best Christian, to teach all of you his definition of marriage. Pay close attention because he's rather inventive. In the beginning of time, say, 6,000 years ago, God created one man and one woman. They had 2 children, both had penises. You might inquisitively ask me, Lord, if Adam and Eve only had boys, where did the grandchildren come from? Trust me, you're not going to like his reply.
I think I better go back to the...
Go to the small. Yeah, go to the small.
Yeah.
A Bible-based marriage is between one man, one woman, and the son she seduces up.
Okay. Sorry about this. Let's try this.
You see where it says 108?
After he's killed his only brother. A family that slays and lays together stays together. True story. Abraham, the father.
Okay. Try this one more time. If it doesn't make it through, we'll get up on it. You can go look it up.
Abraham, the father of 3 faiths, 2 of them total rubbish, married his sister. As if that wasn't sorted enough, slutty sister Sarah invited Abraham to have sex with her maid, someone named Hagar. Such an appallingly butch name. A Bible-based marriage is between one man and his sister. And the hell, goodness me, Lord, the hell? Doing the hell? I don't even speak to mine. Wait, what's the Lord's favorite way to punish a man who rapes an unmarried virgin? Anyone? Marriage, yes. A Bible-based marriage is between one woman and a rapist, Muslim God. Remember how God turned Lot's wife into a pillar of kosher salt? So a Bible-based marriage can sometimes be between one man and a kitchen condiment. Bon appetit. So what do you do if you run out of close relatives or servants to marry? Well, the rather crafty Lord has a fabulous tip. Just drive over to the nearest town and murder everyone who either has a penis or has seen one. Then just round up all the virgins who are left. Of course, you don't need to take a big truck if you try this in, say, America. A Bible-based marriage is between one man, a gal who's kidnapped and raped right after her mother, father, mother, and slutty sister are slaughtered. Remember, in the Bible, it's not rape if the man says, I do. King David had a fabulous collection of wives and a harem absolutely chock full of athletic concubines, whom the Lord had raped by David's son because the Lord was in a snit over some drama concerning that troublemaking tramp Bathsheba. A Bible-based marriage is between one man, a woman, another woman, yet another woman, a few more women, an adulterer, and a pack of raped whores. In a galling show of one-upmanship, David's son, King Solomon, had 700 wives, and because God loves to round up 300 concubines, which are really just live-in whores. A Bible-based marriage is between one man and, frankly, enough booty to make a Mormon compound seem quaintly understaffed. So what do you do when you can't afford even one wife, much less a pack of in-house hookers, but you still have your little heart set on having a son? Well, the Lord shrewdly suggests that you inveigle a slave into violating your daughter. Voila, problem solved. A Bible-based marriage is between one man, daddy's little girl, and the slave daddy hired to rape her. Try getting a Hallmark card for that. The concept of marriage apparently bored bachelor Jesus to tears, other than encouraging his buddies to abandon their wives. About all Jesus said on the subject was that once you do it, that's it, no running off to Babylon to get a divorce. So clearly, in the Bible, you can have as many wives as you want, just as long as you have them all at once. So let's recap the Lord's idea of the perfect marriage. It is between one man and his sister, and a rapist, kitchen condiment, gal who's kidnapped and raped a few more women, an adulterer, and a pack of raped whores, 700 wives, 300 concubines, and the help, and a son who has murdered his brother. But it is not between one man and another man, because, well, that would be immoral.
Survey says 4 out of 5 evangelical divorcees believe marriage is sacred.
Okay, and finally, and this award, this is tiny bit scatological in places, but I don't think it's overly bad. I don't know if anyone has heard Tim mentioned before, but he's this brilliant songwriter, satirist, freethinker, and this is just called Storm.
In a beat poem, it's called Storm. In the North London top floor flat, all white walls, white carpet, white cat, rice paper partitions, modern art and ambition. The host's a physician, bright bloke, has his own practice. His girlfriend's an actress, an old mate of ours from home, and they're always great fun, so to dinner we've come. The fifth guest is an unknown. The hosts have just thrown us together as a favour because this girl's just arrived from Australia and she's moved to North London and she's the sister of someone or has some connection. As we make introductions, I'm struck by her beauty. She's irrefutably fair with dark eyes and dark hair. But as she sits, I admit I'm a little bit wary because I noticed the tip of the wing of a fairy tattooed on that popular area just above the derriere. And when she says, I'm Sagittarian, I confess a pigeonhole starts to form and is immediately filled with pigeon when she says her name is Storm. Conversation is initially bright and light-hearted, but it's not long before Storm gets started. You can't know anything. Knowledge is merely opinion, she opines over her Cabernet Sauvignon vis-a-vis some unhippily empirical comment made by me. Not a good start, I think. We're only on pre-dinner drinks, and across the room my wife widens her eyes, silently begs me, be nice. A matrimonial warning not worth ignoring, so I resist the urge to ask Storm whether knowledge is so loose weave of a morning when deciding whether to leave her apartment by the front door or the window on her second floor. The food is delicious, and Storm, whilst avoiding all meat, happily sits and eats as the good doctor, slightly pissedly, holds court on some anachronistic aspect of medical history, when Storm suddenly insists, but the human body is a mystery. Science just falls in a hole when it tries to explain the nature of the soul. My hostess throws me a glance. She, like my wife, knows there's a chance I'll be off on one of my rare but fun rants, but I shan't. My lips are sealed. I just want to enjoy the meal. And although Storm is starting to get my goat, I have no intention of rocking the boat. Although it's becoming a bit of a wrestle, because like her meteorological namesake, Storm has no such concerns for our vessel. Pharmaceutical companies are the enemy. They promote drug dependency at the cost of the natural remedies that all our bodies need. They are immoral and driven by greed. Why take drugs when herbs can solve it? Why use chemicals when homeopathic solvents can resolve it? I think it's time we all return to live with natural medical alternatives. And try as I like, a small crack appears in my diplomacy dike. By definition, I begin, alternative medicine, I continue, has either not been proved to work or been proved not to work. Do you know what they call alternative medicine that's been proved to work? Medicine. So you don't believe in any natural remedies? On the contrary, Storm, actually, before we came to tea, I took a natural remedy derived from the bark of a willow tree. A painkiller, virtually side effect free. It's got a weird name. Darling, what was it again? Masprin? Aspirin? Oh yeah, aspirin, which I paid about $1 for down at the local drugstore. The debate briefly abates as my hosts collect plates, but as they return with desserts, Storm pertly asserts, Shakespeare said it first. There are more things in heaven and earth than exist in your philosophy. Science is just how we're trained to look at reality. It doesn't explain love or spirituality. How does science explain psychics, auras, the afterlife, the power of prayer? I'm becoming aware that I'm staring and I'm like a rabbit suddenly trapped in the blinding headlights of vacuous crap. Maybe it's the Hamlet she just misquaffed, or the 6th glass of wine I just quaffed, but my diplomacy diet groans, and the arsehole held back by its stones can be held back no more. Storm. Sorry, I don't mean to bore you, but there's no such thing as an aura. Reading auras is like reading minds, or tea leaves, or star signs, or meridian lines. These people aren't plying a skill. They're either lying or mentally ill. Same goes for people who claim to hear God's demands and spiritual healers who think they've got magic hands. By the way, why do we think it's okay for people to pretend they can talk to the dead? Isn't that totally fucked in the head? Lying to some crying woman whose child has died and telling you you're in touch with the other side? I think that's fundamentally sick. Do we need to clarify here that there's no such thing as a psychic? What are we fucking to? Do we actually think that Horton heard a who? Do we still believe that Santa brings us gifts? That Michael Jackson didn't have facelifts? Are we still so stunned by circus tricks that we think the dead would want to talk to pricks like John Edward? Storm, to her credit, despite my derision, keeps firing off cliches with startling precision, like a sniper using bollocks for ammunition. You're so sure of your position, but you're just closed-minded. I think you'll find that your faith in science and tests is just as blind as the faith of any fundamentalist. Well, that's a good point. Let me think for a bit. Oh wait, my mistake, that's absolute bullshit. Science adjusts its views based on what's observed. Faith is the denial of observation so that belief can be preserved. If you show me that, say, homeopathy works, then I will change my mind. I will spin on a fucking dime. I'll be as embarrassed as hell, but I will run through the streets yelling, "It's a miracle! Take physics and bin it! Water has memory, and whilst its memory of a long lost drop of onion juice seems infinite, it somehow forgets all the poo it's had in it. You show me that it works and how it works, and when I recovered from the shock, I will take a compass and carve fancy that on the side of my cock." Everyone's just staring now, but I'm pretty pissed and I've dug this far down, so I figure in for a penny, in for a pound. Life is full of mystery, yeah. But there are answers out there, and they won't be found by people sitting around looking serious and saying, "Isn't life mysterious? Let's sit here and hope. Let's call up the fucking Pope. Let's go watch Oprah interview Deepak Chopra." If you must watch telly, you should watch Scooby-Doo. That show was so cool because every time there was a church with a ghoul or a ghost in a school, they looked beneath the mask, and what was inside? The fucking janitor or the dude who ran the water slide. Because throughout history, every mystery ever solved has turned out to be not magic. Does the idea that there might be knowledge frighten you? Does the idea that one afternoon on Wikipedia might enlighten you frighten you? Does the notion that there might not be a supernatural so blow your hippie noodle that you'd rather stand in the fog of your inability to Google? Isn't this enough? Just this world? Just this beautiful, complex, wonderfully unfathomable, natural world? How does it so fail to hold our attention that we have to diminish it with the invention of cheap, man-made myths and monsters? If you're so into your Shakespeare, lend me your ear. To gild refined gold, to paint the lily, to throw perfume on the violet. It's just fucking silly. Or something like that. What about Satchmo? I'll see trees of green, red roses too, and fine. If you wish to glorify Krishna and Vishnu in a post-colonial, condescending, bottled up and labelled kind of way, then whatever, that's okay. But here's what gives me a hard on. I am a tiny, insignificant, ignorant bit of carbon. I have one life, and it is short and unimportant. But thanks to recent scientific advances, I get to live twice as long as my great uncles and aunties. Twice as long to live this life of mine. Twice as long to love this wife of mine. Twice as many years of friends and wine, of sharing curries and getting shitty at good-looking hippies with fairies on their spines and butterflies on their titties. And if perchance I have offended, think but this, and all is mended. We'd as well be 10 minutes back in time for all the chance you'll change your mind.
That's it.
That last bit was actually suggested by Jay Purrington, our band music leader guy, who's not here today. We'll thank him for that next time we come back. That's the other great thing about the world is, instead of the Bible, where it's this little thing between two covers of the book, and everybody who supposedly loves this book knows everything that's in it. There's always more. There's always more in the natural world and in the unnatural world of YouTube and these other created things. I'm just going to switch over here now. We have to cycle through them with the Lord done through here. Real quickly. See the way it works. Remember that cool one size. All right. Okay. Noah, the Bible guy, was sort of like a 21st century financier, wasn't he? He was floating his stock while everybody else was in liquidation. Right? But Pharaoh's daughter was not very good at finances because she went down to the Nile and drew out a little profit. Actually, there's nothing really funny in the Bible. If you just, on a lark, go to Bible Gateway and search it for words like laughter and so forth, you just find things like the Lord God laughs the other nations to scorn. I will laugh at your misery. And there's even something in Ecclesiastes that says that a sad face is better than being happy. It's good for the soul. So, I don't know, that seems like it's not really quite the whole story. Last time we talked briefly about Henry Bergson because he was the first to talk about this idea of the open society. It turns out Henry Bergson also wrote an extended essay on the subject of comedy. Well worth reading, a little bit dry, but he has some very interesting ideas in there. One of the things I thought was very interesting is he says that the absence of feeling usually accompanies laughter. So that indifference is the natural environment. Laughter has no greater pull than emotion. I do not mean that we could not laugh at a person who inspires us with pity or even with affection, but in such a case we must for the moment put our affection out of court and impose silence upon our pity. And isn't that why people don't laugh about, jokes that are insensitive? Because, if you're drawn into the emotion of, that accompanies persecution of people or any kind of injustice type of thing, then you can't really laugh at the joke. He says, further, in a society composed of pure intelligences, there would probably be no more tears, though perhaps there would still be laughter. Whereas highly emotional souls in tune and in unison with life and whom every event would be sentimentally prolonged and re-echoed. And most of us know, if you get in a kind of a bad mood, you tend to see that everywhere too, and everything just, you can't laugh at anything anymore. So, and that kind of person would neither know nor understand laughter. He says, try for a moment to become interested in everything that is being said and done. Act in imagination with those who act, and feel with those who feel. In a word, give your sympathy its widest expansion. As though at the touch of a fairy wand, you will see the flimsiest of objects assume importance, and in gloomy hue spread over everything. Now, step aside and look upon life as a disinterested spectator. Isn't that kind of the element, one of the elements of jokes is, you're looking at things as the man from Mars. Many a drama will turn into a comedy. It's enough for us to stop our ears to the sound of music in a room where dancing is going on, or turn off the sound on your TV and just watch the action. And then the dancers at once appeared ridiculous. How many human actions would stand a similar test? To produce the whole of its effect, then, the comic demands something like a momentary anesthesia of the heart. Its appeal is to intelligence, pure and simple. And maybe that's why we freethinkers, I think, are more enjoying of humor. And let me just toggle over that to a couple of clips. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Mitchell and Webb. Anybody seen those, heard those? Oh, well, that's good. Because how can you make fun of Nazis and Hitler and stuff? So here's a couple of clips.
These communists are all cowards.
Have you looked at our caps recently?
Our caps?
The badges on our cap.
Very well. They're coming. Now we'll see how these Russians deal with a crack SS division.
Hands?
Have courage, my friend.
Yeah. Hans, I've just noticed something.
These communists are all cowards.
Have you looked at our caps recently?
Our caps?
The badges on our caps. Have you looked at them?
What? No. A bit.
They've got skulls on them. Have you noticed that our caps have actually got little pictures of skulls on them?
I don't, sir.
Hans, are we the baddies?
We should be able to hold them at this point here, at least for a few hours.
Why skulls? Why skulls?
Well, maybe they're the skulls of our enemies.
Maybe. But is that how it comes across? I mean, it doesn't say next to the skull, you know, yeah, we killed him, but trust us, this guy was horrid.
Well, no, but...
I mean, what do skulls make you think of? Death, cannibals, beheading, pirates.
Pirates are fun.
I didn't say we weren't fun, but fun or not, pirates are still the baddies. I just can't think of anything good about a skull.
What about pure Aryan skull shape?
Even that is more usually depicted with the skin still on. Whereas the ally...
Oh, you haven't been listening to Allied propaganda. Of course they're going to say we're the bad guys.
But they didn't get to design our uniforms. Their symbols are all, you know, quite nice. Stars, stripes, lions, sickles.
What's so good about a sickle?
Well, nothing. And obviously, if there's one thing we've learned in the last 1,000 miles of retreat, it's that Russian agriculture is in dire need of mechanisation. I've got to say, it's better than a skull. I mean, I really can't think of anything worse as a symbol than a skull.
A rat's anus?
Yeah, and if we were fighting an army marching under the banner of a rat's anus, I'd be less worried.
Okay. So... Very shocking news. 2 hours ago, our beloved Führer, Adolf Hitler, took his own life.
Oh, right. That is...
And you, Admiral Veritz, have been named as his successor.
What in your face, darling? Sorry, guys. Whoa, Matrix! This is a great opportunity. I've got loads of great ideas for Germany. I think we should do more autobahns, they're great. I think we need to look at pensions, there's a growing housing shortage.
Listen.
Oh, actually, sorry, can I just make a quick call?
Yes, mein Führer.
No. Darling, yeah, it's me. You're never going to guess. They made me the new Führer. Yeah, shot himself. Well, Frida, this is an opportunity that I've just got to take. Well, they were hardly going to give me the job when everything was going really well, were they? We'll talk about this later, okay? But heil me, though, eh? Heil me?
Right, where was I? Oh yes, ideas. When can we have a policy meeting?
We've taken the liberty of drawing up a list of priorities.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. So, here's General Eisenhower's telephone number. Here's the English for "we give up." And here's an analysis of our military situation in one rude word.
Taking the wind out of my sails a bit there. Hang on, this isn't just one of those pranks you play on all the new Führers, is it? So, you just need someone to say that we've surrendered.
Seems silly, I know, but no, we just literally do need someone actually to say we've done that.
Right.
It's red tape, really.
You see, I thought I was going to get to be a proper...
Yes, that was our fault. We didn't mean to give you that impression.
All right, I'll make the call. You wouldn't mind just doing me a quick Heil Dernix, would you? Just so I can say I've had one.
I don't think that.
Please.
And there's...
Thanks, guys.
Why we were laughing. And it's interesting because even once you know this, you're still going to laugh. It's like the way our grades are made or something like that. This was Bergson's observation that we find comical when human beings are made into mechanical or inanimate objects, sort of barreling along the way they're used to going without making any kind of allowance or correction or adapting to different situations. Like you see in the first one that the one Nazi guy sort of sleepwalking through the crack SS and all of this, and the other guy's sort of trying to wake him up. The skulls under our caps, and of course it's all over when they run away, and the other guy gets it. And in the second one, we see Dönitz, of course, I'm the new Führer. Here's how the Führer is going to be, and so on. But of course, the world is falling down around him, and he wants to continue to have this idea that he's going to be a proper Führer, as he puts it. So this is a very interesting insight, and I think as you go through knowing this, you'll see this element comes up again and again in all sorts of comedy. Let me put another few clips up that will show this as well. Again, stereotypes of bad guys, and
I'm afraid, sir, we still have a problem with Detective Harrison.
Yes, Mr. Harrison has an irritating talent for disrupting my arrangements.
Would you like me to have him removed?
Yes, perhaps. Perhaps it would be better if Mr. Harrison were taken out of the picture.
Sorry, guys, you're doing it again.
What, Alan?
Have him removed. Take him out of the picture. I thought we agreed at the meeting that these terms are needlessly ambiguous. We all agreed that from now on, when we want someone murdered, i.e. deliberately killed to death, that's what we're going to say.
Look, everyone knows what we mean.
Well, on this occasion, perhaps. I mean, that was an order to murder Detective Harrison, right?
He has become a nuisance.
A nuisance we should murder. Is that it? I mean, my nephew's a nuisance, but you see what I mean?
Yes, yeah, all right.
Well, can you say it then, please?
Okay. Please deal with the Harrison situation.
I said, that's no good. That was perfectly clear. Oh, what are you talking about, Keith?
This is going to be Let's Hope Professor Ritson meets with a little accident all over again. We spent 9 months hoping that Professor Ritson would meet with an accident. Before Leslie made it clear it was an accident we were supposed to make happen.
All right, you made your point. You do get on with your work now.
No murdering.
Forgive the blindfold, Mr. Cooch. An unfortunate necessity, I fear. I bid you welcome to the new headquarters of my organization.
Yeah, very nice. Call me Ryan.
Alas, I abhor informality. To business. Permit me to outline for you, if I may, the amusements I wish you to realize for me. This wall, for example. A sturdy and unyielding wall, wouldn't you say? What I require, Mr. Cooch, is a cunning mechanism whereby pressure applied to a lever camouflaged as, shall we say, this volume of Miss Katie Bryce's being Jordan, will rotate the entire wall to reveal on its dexter side, well, that need not concern you. Is that clear?
You want it knocked through?
No, you misapprehend me. The wall must remain, yet rotate. It must be there, yet not there.
You want a hatch?
No, Mr. Cooch, not a hatch. I wish for the entire wall to rotate, turn, upon its axis, roundy round.
Why?
I just do.
Alright, well, can't be done, I'm afraid. This is a low-bearing wall.
Nevertheless.
I mean, if it was this wall that you wanted to, what, rotate, is it?
Yes, rotate.
Well, it would be a huge job, but I think there's a way you can do it.
Well, somewhat less impressive, but the roaring fire lends a certain je ne sais quoi.
Fire have to go.
By no means. It is integral to the effect that the fire burns merrily in the grate as the wall turns.
Look, mate, if you rotate a wall with a burning fire in it, the effect that you'll get is a room full of smoke. I can't revolve the chimney, mate. It's down to health and safety.
Forgive my levity, Mr. Cooch, but when you come to know me better, you will learn that neither health nor safety are among my primary concerns.
Look, if you want to rotate this wall, here's what you need to do. Fireplace decommissioned, yellow and black edging around all moving sections, clear, well-lit signage saying, warning, this wall may revolve.
I'm beginning to find you tiresome, Mr. Cooch.
Don't get personal, mate. It's not me, the bonkers interior designer.
Look, if not a revolving wall, then how about a nice, simple trapdoor?
Trapdoor? Yeah, that sounds possible.
Excellent. But I want them under each of these seats with chutes leading down to a tank full of ravenous piranhas.
Fair enough, we'll have that done much easier.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the true purpose of the Calippo organization. Now, doubtless this may come as a shock to some of you. So let me assure you, if any of you have any moral qualms about my little proposition, you're more than welcome to simply walk away. So, any niggling little doubts?
Yes, I thought that all sounded a bit... So, I might go, if that's all right, but I won't tell anyone, I swear.
No, Hugo. I know you won't.
Well, no, I won't.
I'm quite sure you won't. Don't you worry about that.
So am I free to go?
Yes, just sit tight for a moment, though. We need to talk about your redundancy package. Why isn't it? You need to press the other button down here. Girl. Nothing, now we can forward-date your pension to...
Attention! Trapdoor number 3 is about to open. Please clear the area.
Trapdoor? Is there a trapdoor? No, it's just an emergency drill. You sit tight.
Trapdoor 3 is about to open. Please clear the area.
I think I might go.
No, stay. But we haven't talked about what sort of a leaving bash you might...
Trapdoor 3 now opening.
Oh, terrific.
It works. Professor, you should not be here. This is private property. Mr. President, I'm so sorry.
Good evening, Professor. This is Major Agnew. Major Agnew, Professor.
Mr. President, this is indeed an honor. I had no idea.
Well, our country's been pouring a lot of money into this secret research of yours. I thought we should find out what we've been paying for.
Indeed. And it so happens you are here just in time, Mr. President, Major Agnew. I do not think you'll be disappointed. Behold, then, the giant death ray!
Well, I'll be...
Professor, is that a laser? Yes, Major Agnew, the giant death ray is indeed a laser. And now perhaps you'll be so good as to place this simple tin of peaches into the path of my laser's beam. What?
Do it, Major.
Please. Peaches has just been ascertained electronically and is stored in the information banks of my giant death ray. Any questions?
Well, one question that obviously leaps to mind, Professor Death, is why on earth you elected to name this contraption of yours the giant death ray? Oh, I see.
Mr. President, I have a question. This laser of yours,
Death ray, yes.
if you were to increase the intensity of its beam...
Intensity, yes.
Could your death ray not also be used to...
Perform delicate eye surgery? Yes.
No, what I'm asking, Professor, is might this death ray of yours not also have some military application?
Giant death ray? A military application?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course. A military application. Yes, I'll just go and check. Professor, you're destroying it! Forgive me, Mr. President, but I am a man of science, not of war. I intended the giant death ray to be used for good, not evil.
Okay.
Mankind, not my destroyers!
Please, Professor, stop! I understand! Please, Professor Death!
Thank you. Okay, so what else can you show us?
To be used for good?
Absolutely.
None of that evil use, good uses, yes? Very well. It was my intention to help mankind further, Mr. President, Major Agnew, by affixing the giant death ray to this. The armored scorpion of death. Behold!
Why, by all that's...
Left behind the counter of any local convenience store, the armored scorpion of death's claws not merely aids the stacking of high shelves, but also easily facilitates the movement of household goods through shoulder-mounted beams maintained by its triangular red eyes.
And the sting?
Fires helpful bullets.
Major.
Well, of course, Mr. President, the military applications of such a device...
Forgive me, Mr. President, I created the laser fitting bomb and scorpion of death to help mankind, not to destroy.
What's this unlimited power bomb?
Ah, now that... No! To you, Major Magno. Yeah, I got your number. This bomb was created to help mankind, not destroy.
And this? Mind-controlling death axe.
No! The mind-controlling death acts were created to help mankind, not destroy.
Doom melon?
No! Doom melon! Still needs some work.
Where is he? He said he would be sometime, sir. That was yesterday. No man can survive more than a few hours in this blizzard. Ah, damn it all. 3 of us left. Only 3 of us. What provisions have we? 1 last stranded pelican, sir. Damn it all to hell, I refuse to eat this confounded muck. Then we have but 1 remaining option, sir. No, it's unthinkable. No, Wilson. This... What? No, that's even worse. Sir, we will surely perish if we do not eat. That, sir, is a Christmas pudding. And today is barely halfway through August. What are you proposing? You can see we lost track of time. Lieutenant, there are some things that a true Englishman will never countenance. That is a Christmas pudding, and we are saving it for Christmas. Is that understood? Well then, what about the Harvest Festival, Amber? That's only a few weeks away. Control yourself, man. Look at this prize marrow, sir. Imagine the sweet taste of its flesh once cooked. Perhaps with these butter beans, we could rustle up a hearty stew. We are Englishmen, not animals. How about the corned beef? Or the cling peaches in syrup? If we treat these hampers with contempt, then they are no better than Norwegians. Starving to death! And we are doing so in due deference to the English celebration of Canada.
Shackleton let his men eat all the pancake batter weeks before Shrove Tuesday.
I don't intend to brook any jealous intervention from you, Wilson. Wilson, is that foil in your beard?
No, it's snow.
And there's chocolate on your glove. You finished the entire calendar.
Good Lord, it wasn't my idea. Oates gave me a little chocolate Father Christmas, and then we rather got carried away with the spirit of the thing.
How dare you!
Oh, is that so too? That's some of the brandy butter.
Is this true, Alice? Well then, is there anything either of you would care to add to your confessions?
Well, you tell him.
No, you tell him. It was your idea.
What is it? Tell me this instant. Speak up, man.
I said we ate the carrots.
What? Not a carrot. No! But that was to be the nose for my snowman.
So you see, we still laugh, but what we're saying is, people kind of take it in a stereotypical way. I just think they can't help themselves. All right, and just another couple observations from Bergson. The pleasure caused by laughter, even on the stage, is not an unadulterated enjoyment. It is not a pleasure that's exclusively aesthetic or altogether disinterested. It always implies a secret or unconscious intent, if not of each one of us at all events of society as a whole. In laughter, we find an unbounded intention to humiliate and consequently to correct our neighbor, if not in his will, at least in his deed. This is the reason that comedy is far more like real life than a drama is. The more sublime the drama, the more profound the analysis to which the poet has had to subject to raw materials in daily life in order to obtain the tragic element in its unadulterated form. On the contrary, it's only in its lower aspects, in light comedy and farce, that comedy is in striking contrast to reality. The higher it rises, the more it approximates to life. In fact, there are scenes in real life so closely bordering on high-class comedy that the stage might adopt them without changing a single word. To produce the whole of its effect, then, the comic demands something like a momentary anesthesia of the heart, and again, its appeal is to intelligence pure and simple. I'm going to cut this short with just three more clips actually. They're all appended together as before. You see I have more things here, but this is just, we all like to make, laugh at people who believe in strange things.
So, as you know, we've just discovered that there are aliens because of that spaceship with aliens in that crashed, and they've got super advanced technology, and it's all massively frightening.
So, what's the plan?
Well, keep it all a complete secret from everybody if at all possible.
Yes, of course. Although, why?
Well, if everybody knew that there were aliens, they might try and help us research or defend against them.
Why don't you want that?
Just general sort of, well, it's nice to have secrets, isn't it?
Plus, the government is very keen that nobody should blame them for there being aliens.
Well, they will when the aliens invade and they find out that we've known all along and could have been enlisting support all over the world in an effort to defend against them. There'll be hell to pay then, so...
Yeah, cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, let's keep the existence of aliens, which is in no way our fault, or, at this point, exclusively our problem, a complete secret.
How?
Well, we did catch a break there, actually. Fortunately, the aliens landed somewhere very remote, which is also a well-known top-secret army base.
Thank God for that. So we can hide away the dead aliens in that facility. We can also do an autopsy on them there and not tell anyone the results.
Yeah. Just to make sure that nobody ever finds out, we should film it.
Is there any other way that people can find out? I mean, between now and the alien invasion for which we'll leave the world unprepared?
Well, they do keep abducting people for weird sex.
Oh dear, well, the compelling nature of the evidence those people are going to come back to Earth with is something we can do nothing about.
Yes, well, we'll just have to pray that by good fortune there continue to be no independent witnesses.
The other problem is that quite a few excellent black and white photographers have pictures of what can pretty much only be spaceships.
I hate to be a skeptic, but why are we doing any of this?
Well, it doesn't really make sense, does it? But it's just the sort of thing that generally governments do. Wouldn't it be great to make everyone think we'd landed on the moon? That'd show the Soviets.
What would it show them?
Well, they'd think we'd landed on the moon and they'd be all afraid. Do this right, and the Cold War could be over by 1971.
Why don't we just release the footage of the Mars landings?
No, it's vitally important that we keep the successful mission to Mars a secret. I've got a hunch that if we pretend to have landed on the moon, that will be in some way intimidating.
Will people believe us?
Oh, I'm sure they will, to the extent that we won't even need to bother to pay much attention to detail with regard to flags and shadows and so on. You're the top spy in the Secret Service when it comes to misleading footage. What do you suggest?
Well, to start with, of course, we'll need to build a massive rocket.
Why? We're not actually going to the moon. So I thought that was the point. Have I got this wrong?
We'll need a massive rocket because the first question people will ask when we show them the footage of the moon will be, how did you get there? So we'll have to be able to say, we went in that massive rocket you saw.
So, we're not actually going to make any kind of saving in terms of the cost of a massive rocket?
No, but we will be making a saving on the cost of actually going to the moon.
True. And what costs are involved in actually going to the moon?
Well, the main one, to be honest, is the massive rocket.
Any others?
Well, other than that, it's mainly catering.
So we'll make a saving on that?
Well, no. In fact, it'll probably be more expensive to cater for an entire film crew for the duration of a shoot than it would be to feed 3 astronauts.
I'm just wondering, we'll still have to build the massive rocket capable of going to the moon?
We will have to do that, yes.
So I was just thinking, if we built the moon rocket, might it not be cheaper to just pop to the moon and fake the footage there?
fake the footage of the fake moon landing on the moon. What if people found out?
That's a risk we're just going to have to take.
So, we're all agreed that that's the best way to do it.
Absolutely. It's so simple. No messing around with poison-tipped umbrellas or snipers. We just get a chauffeur drunk.
Slightly drunk.
And assume that he'll crash the car.
As long as we pay for a bunch of motorcycling photographers to harass him, I'm sure that'll happen.
And the good news is that only involves swearing another 15 or so people to perpetual silence.
Yes. Plus, people always die in car crashes, don't they?
Yes, always. And people who drive over the limit always crash. What we're organising here, my friends, is a watertight hit. My only worry is that it'll look so much like a murder that people will suspect.
Well, that is the risk we run by doing it this way. It will be totally obvious that it's an assassination, but remember what the Duke of Edinburgh said when he came in here to MI6 to give us our orders. I don't mind carrying the lifelong suspicion of murder on my shoulders, as long as you kill her in such a way that absolutely nothing can go wrong.
Induced tipsy car crash it'll have to be then. It simply can't fail. Unless she wears a seatbelt.
She won't. She's unprovably pregnant, remember? Women recently impregnated by the only man they've ever loved are notoriously slapdash about their personal safety.
So, Dart, you're our best troubleshooter. Is there anything that we've missed?
I've just got one little niggle. Why are we doing this?
Well, because Prince Philip told us to. It's well known that the nation's security services are still pretty much at the beck and call of the royal family. This is top priority. The IRA can do whatever they like this weekend, let me tell you.
Why is he doing it?
Well, because she's so popular. She's beautiful and everyone loves her. We need to kill her now so that people will go off her.
I mean, just think about it. If she's left alive to age as gracefully as one can while bringing up the bastard grandchild of a delusional Egyptian businessman, the public's just going to love her more and more.
You're quite right. As her appearance wrinkles and sags, and she occasionally makes a vacuous remark about something complicated, people's hatred for the rest of the royal family will only intensify.
Whereas, if she's dead, she'll be forgotten in a week.
Yes, of course. You've made me feel very naive.
Hello? Oh. Life imitating art, I suppose. Right. Well, thank you. Well, you can stand down, everyone. That all just happened by accident.
Well, don't tell Prince Philip, we'll still get our fee.
Well, we're running late, so maybe we should save the rest for next year. What do you think? We'll get a little tired, get a little hungry. So, think about all that. Mitchell and Webb's got a bunch more stuff. It's all on YouTube, very, very funny. Remember that Freethought is not free. And we have these wonderful little rainbow-colored boxes, 2 in the back room, another one on the table outside. We really very much need your financial support as well as your continuing to come, have a good time, tell your friends, bring your kids. Next month we'll be talking more about kids and parenting. Reasons to give us your money, of course. We're doing together what none of us can do on your own. You just can't take these kinds of funds and put them to any other use. That's going to be what we're doing here. Help us prepare the ground for the future of Freethought and demonstrate your commitment to this future that you would like to see. Going to joy and humility of reason. The next service is May, it says May 2nd, but it's actually May 1st. That was last year. For some reason I didn't get that fixed. So it's honoring and fathering.
We get to go back in time, do we?
Time travel. Alrighty, good.
It's at the Westin?
Doctor Who.
It's at the Westin.
That's right, remember, it's at the Westin, which is catty corner from here. The old Wyndham is now the Doubletree, so it's across the street from that, right at 114. So get going in the general direction while you're waking up. By the time you'll remember, oh yeah, it's at the Westin.